Hello and welcome back to my Lego City. I wanted to finally give you an update here on the YouTubes about what's gone on most recently with my Lego Zoo rebuild, total rebuild. Last time that I think I showed this on YouTube, I had just finished putting in the Big Cats exhibit over there and the petting zoo area up front, and that's pretty much it. And I've started to move forward over the past season or so. It's been slow going as I've had to focus on the building of official sets and reviews, because that's the main thing that the vast overwhelming majority of my viewers over the past 10 years have come to know me for and want and demand from me as timely as possible. But I have, on the off times, been spending as much time as I can in here doing live streaming of building in this space, whether it's on Twitch or on Patreon. And the general idea here, I think probably the best way to start it, the best way to see this will be from the other side. Yeah, it's probably more like it. General idea here is I'm going for a caricature cartoon map kind of look. So I want this to look kind of like a map of the world. Not the real world, but a world, you know, since this entire city is kind of set in a semi-realistic, near future, Earth-based space, but not entirely Earth-based, you know, kind of a slight alternate reality. So it's almost as if these are continents represented here, but then it's a little bit reversed, because, you know, typically you'd have land to be the smaller masses, the island masses to represent continents and such. But it's that general kind of feel. Like think of a zoo with a kid-focused sign that represents the simplified map of the space. I want this whole thing to kind of look like that from a distance. And I think it's starting to do just that. And I've started to get in, I kind of defined the edge treatment finally for the whole thing. So that's, well, at least down at the lower level. It still needs to get rails put in as well. Of course, many folks have questions about safety and everything, but don't worry, I've got that covered. I've got a long-term plan for dealing with that, with how I'm going to enclose everything. Finally got this little overpass bridge in place with a crocodile, just old school crocodile hanging out underneath of it. I think that ended up, you know, it's got some depth to it, or it has some height to it, but it fits in here pretty nicely with the wedges and just how the shaping of the roadway went. And most of the walkway is in. It's supposed to represent kind of a highly compressed gravel, a high silicon content sort of gravel. So you just imagine as minifigures walk over the surface, it has a little bit of a crunch sound to it, just a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the feel of a freshly packed baseball diamond or something like that. Just kind of as far as its texture is concerned. I like to use lots of studs. I know a lot of people hate studs. Ironically, literally hate studs in Lego and want to tile absolutely everything so you don't see a single stud anywhere. And that's just completely impractical to me. And this is the compromise that I went with, of putting in some tiles so that there would be room to have minifigures, you know, at an angle. They can be turned, they can be walking, they can be looking in different directions, they can be turned around talking to each other, but you've got plenty of spaces to put feet, and it's not looking like it's trying to be a linoleum floor or something like that. The kind of deserty area has been basically roughed in. I'm not final on exactly which animals will go where, but this is going to get a backdrop. So I got the little bit of mosaic from the lion pen from my original zoo just here as a bit of inspiration. I'm going to try to take something like that and extend it out and have a scene in the background for that, and kind of try to do the same thing for other areas as well. So I've got the primates and apes will be going over here. I'll need at least one more tree, and looks like I should be able to get some some backdrop behind that. I'll probably try to shift this towards more like mountains in the background. Maybe not water at all. I'm not sure about that. But speaking of water, across the way, so I've got now the water extended, as you saw, from underneath the bridge from where the Big Cat exhibit is. The water extends around and it just connects straight on over to here. I think that makes sense. I like the feel of it. I think it adds something. I think it feels like it adds to the overall space that's dedicated to the exhibits, while kind of sharing some of the space with the need for people to be able to walk around, patron accommodation. And the idea of the separation between the exhibit area and the visitor area, with the road train having its station over here. So I need to create the platform for it. That's going to be rough, making a platform that's nice and thin. Got just a suggestion of fake rails that are painted onto the ground. There is the idea. Obviously, anything that looks incomplete is. So never worry about that. It's a work in progress until I say it's done, and it is far from done. And that should be very, very obvious. So the blue doesn't belong there, but the trains, as I've explained many times before, are like realistic ones in many, many zoos that are just rubber tired, and they're actually cars, that get driven around by somebody with a steering wheel. There's a driver there with the steering wheel is driving the thing around. It's just pulling it around as a tour vehicle. So this one's going to need to get replaced. The locomotive needs to get replaced because it's not really set up that way. It was a prototype when I was trying to figure out how I was going to do the trains before I decided to just go with the road car idea. The aviary got expanded significantly, so it is larger than it was before. It's 6 studs wider. It's 6 by, what is that? 6 by 12 has been added to it. I don't know if the Great Eagle is going to stay up there on top, but this is mostly using the original concept for the inside of it, but has been, the tree on the right especially has been updated quite significantly. It has some more organic branching in it. And I spread the birds out a little bit, added a bunch of new ones in there. Might have taken a few out as well, especially some of the parrots. I think I had too many parrots. I was just trying to get all the colors in there, and that's just not realistic. Not realistic to attempt. There are just too many of them. The bear cave will be over there, and I'll have an Antarctic/Arctic combo space over here, which is going to be small and humble. And then in between there will be just, I don't know, just some bushes, maybe a statue or something right in there, just as a little island. Not everything has to have exhibits necessarily, so that one will probably be more just for the looks. And then back out towards the street, I finally figured out what I'm going to do with the eating space, which I liked the eating space in the old zoo, but gosh, they take up a bunch of space. But I think this layout is gonna work. I had been leaning towards doing a 2-level layout for this whole zoo previously, and thankfully I've moved away from that. Keeping everything relatively flat is going to help a lot with just accessibility and viewability for us, for me and for you to be able to see stuff without me having to hold on. Let me just try to. Oh, I just hit it. Just knocked something over. Sorry. Let me try to get the camera a little bit closer to the ground for you. Wait. Just hold on. All that awkwardness. Like, it's cool to try to get the minifig eye view of stuff, but it's not at all convenient. It's honestly a little bit stressful. So I'll try to make everything as visible as reasonably possible, just like this, and then get in when I can, get in closer to the ground. But at least bringing the structures down to the ground, not having them be 2 stories high with all the additional accessibility needs and everything, is just going to simplify stuff and allow me to move forward. So the restroom area is going to be expanded a little bit. It might have 3 stalls back there in in the corner. It'll be hidden away a little bit more. This here isn't looking so good right now. This building is not looking so good. It's my least favorite thing around here, but most of the work on that has been done extraordinarily late at night in the Patreon stream at 4:30 a.m. Starts at 4:30 a.m. Eastern time on technically Saturdays. For me, it's a very late Friday night, and I just have not been able to get the creative juices flowing fast enough and strong enough, and also being limited in parts, having to always get up and get more parts and then come back is just very awkward. So net result, the inside of that, which has the bugs, insects, and reptiles together, I think actually looks pretty decent. Sorry if I didn't have that framed up quite properly. But then over here, the gift shop is pretty much done, and the inside of that is good. I feel good about it, and I'm happy with it. I'll probably get a little bit more decoration on the outside, but it's compact enough, but it does everything that it needs to do. And I think the overall flow of this space is good. Once I get a bunch of minifigures in there, I think it's going to feel nice and alive. I think it's going to feel good. And I did, dedicate a lot of space to walkway to be able to put minifigures in there, and that results in a suboptimal use of space for the animals and for the exhibits. And I think that's a fine trade-off here, because I want this to be something that is for the service of the minifigs, and by extension for the service of the huge figures who are viewing these videos. And yeah, I just don't want it to feel cramped. So I definitely could have put more here, but I think I'm pretty satisfied with the direction I'm going. And I just need to continue to put more time into it and try to get more sleep so that I can get more creative energy that will naturally flow, because I'm not going to force myself to do this stuff. This is stuff that I enjoy and that I want to do, and I want to do. And when I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to force myself. But this is where it's at for right now with the zoo. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching. I will keep at it and talk to you again soon. Bye for now.